But what the hell is really an elopement? You know, that's the question we need to ask. My dog wants to be on the camera as well. How to elope in Spain? That's the question that is keeping you awake at night. And you simply want to know, how can I do it? In terms of budgeting, in terms of location, in terms of the vendors. Do I need to have a wedding planner? Can I do it legally? What documents do I need? All those questions you will find answered here in that video. First of all, why should you listen to me? I will just briefly tell you a bit who am I and why information that I'm trying to provide you here could be useful. Well, my name is Sebastian and I am the guy behind SuperWeddings. We are wedding photographers and videographers, and we are based in Spain. We're working with so many couples around the world. Sometimes we work on huge weddings, very glamorous, international, with famous people, celebrities, huge events with 100, 200, or even 800 guests invited. And that's a huge production. And most likely, in order to do so, you need a wedding planner. But you know what? We also work with couples who just want to come on this amazing adventure to visit Spain, live the moment, cherish the culture, enjoy the historical venues, try the food, try the wine, see all those beautiful beaches, mountains, and landscapes that Spain has to offer. And you know what? Those couples typically don't have a wedding planner. What they do have is a lot of imagination, flexibility, and the willingness to be adventurous. And usually they ask us for tips. But before we go that far, we have to ask questions. Well, for those of you who don't know what an elopement is, I will just briefly tell you the difference between a wedding and an elopement. Well, a wedding is a traditional gathering of people who come to a venue pre-planned, dressed beautifully, and are witnessing a ceremony hosted and run by the couple with a celebrant, a civil celebrant, or a priest or somebody. Then there is a scheduled, detailed plan of what's happening step by step. There's a cocktail time, then there is the party, then there's the first dance, then there's the cake, then there's the fireworks, then there is all those things happening, the dancers, the flamenco, all those things. Planned ahead of time, detailed, a huge amount of work, and I bow to all the wedding planners who do that. By the way, if you want some tips and tricks on which wedding planner to choose, write me. I will tell you in which region who to work with. There's so many amazing wedding planners, and I will be super happy to assist you with the choice. But coming back to the differences. So the wedding is this event. It's planned, huge people, and a lot of money. At the end, it's a lot of money. And an elopement is kind of a wedding, but less planning, a lot more flexible, and less money, and it can be just the two of you. It can be just the couple. It can be the couple and their family, their closest family. It can be a couple and their friends. It can be a couple and the witness. It can be so many different things because there's no boundaries, there's no rules. It's only your imagination stopping you of what you can plan and where, and how to elope, and how to actually be on the ceremony, how you can dress, what you can say. All this shebang around can be planned and really fitted to your energy, to your aesthetics, to your style. And this is really amazing because you can be really creative. I mean, we love working at weddings. This is how we, pay our bills. We work at weddings. I love weddings. This is the industry of love. I keep saying that. At every workshop, everywhere, I work in the industry of love, and I love it. And at the same time, I need to work with people at elopements because simply the distance between me and the couple is a little bit closer.
Roll. Yeah, roll on the sand, roll on the sand, yeah.
big weddings, there's so many people's things that you're capturing, but on an elopement, you are there with the couple. So if you're planning an elopement, having a photographer or videographer with you on that day, I think is probably the most important, okay, the third most important thing to have planned on an elopement. Okay, we know the differences. Now let's move on to another step. The most important question is, can you legally elope in Spain? And the answer is yes. You know why? Because of course you can get married in Spain, but living here for a few years, I can tell you one thing. Bureaucracy in Spain is, you cannot even use a word to describe. It's huge. It's a nightmare. It's a dark corridor with no light at the end. Don't even go there. Don't try to even bother asking for civil or Catholic weddings. Yes, you can have a civil wedding, but you have to be, a Spanish citizen or a resident of Spain of at least 2 years. Catholic wedding, it's same problematic. I wouldn't even think and bother of doing that if you're doing an elopement. If you're planning a wedding, then yes, then you have the wedding planners. They will help you. You can plan in 2 years in advance. You can try to move heaven and earth to do it. But even so, making a symbolic ceremony, hosting a symbolic ceremony is so much easier. And you know what? It's also a lot cooler. You can make so many things on a symbolic ceremony that you cannot do on a civil wedding or in a church. So I always recommend for a wedding in Spain, but for an elopement even more so, a symbolic ceremony. All right, make it. Write it down. Just write it down. Symbolic, civil, church, make it symbolic. What do we need to plan an elopement? Obviously, we need you guys. So we need the couple. We need 2 people in love, or 3 people, or 4 or 5. At least 2 people that are in love and would like to celebrate in Spain. And first, what you really need is to decide on the location. Okay? Because Spain as a country is very complex and very different. Because if you're, let's say, based in the United States, and when you close your eyes and you imagine Spain, you probably are thinking Barcelona, maybe you're thinking flamenco, maybe you're thinking soccer, football, So you have some sort of vision of what Spain is. But Spain is a lot more. It's the regions are very different. There are the languages. There are so many different languages within Spain, so many different dialects. The culture is different, the temperature, the landscape, law, it's very different. So first of all, you have to kind of narrow down of what you envision of Spain. What do you envision? Do you see a city, Barcelona, narrow streets, beautiful buildings, great food, great wine, maybe a vivid urban, energy, and going into clubs, into restaurants, on the rooftop bars, and this is like a city. This could be Barcelona, this could be Madrid, this could be maybe Malaga or Valencia, or when you're thinking eloping in Spain, maybe just maybe you're thinking, this beautiful landscape, this winery, this villa, which is in Spain a finca. So we're thinking a finca or a hacienda. Away from the city, just you, and maybe there's some sheep walking around, and there's a pool. Maybe there's like this barbecue that you're hosting and celebrating with your friends. Or maybe where you're thinking eloping in Spain, you're thinking a banana plantation, eloping on a banana plantation, and then jumping to the ocean and surfing. Or maybe when you're thinking elopement in Spain, you're thinking historical venue, old botanic garden, or at the mountaintop. There's so many different things and different locations in Spain that first what you have to do is think what kind of location is best for you. What do you enjoy the most? Are you more of a mountain landscape outdoor person? Or maybe you're more of a nightlife person and you want to go out, hit the clubs after you get hitched, you know? So that's really the question you have to ask yourself. What's my energy? What's my aesthetics? What do I want to do? Where do I want to hang out? Where do I want to spend time with my loved ones, with my family, with my friends? Am I more a city person, or am I more like a landscape outside of the city, inside the village, inside the hacienda, villa, forest, mountain, ocean person? Like, am I more indoor? Am I more outdoor? Really, you know, because Spain is so big, you know, all the regions from up, you know, to the north and the south, it's so different. And then we can add the islands, the Balearic Islands, the Gran Canaria and the Canary Islands. And this is all so different, you know, so you have to kind of really narrow down your aesthetics. You know, when you close your eyes, what do you imagine? Like, is it Barcelona? Is it Madrid? Is it Malaga? Is it like the cities, the ruins, the historical centers, the Barrio Gótico in Barcelona? Or is it more the ocean in Gran Canaria? Or is it maybe more Andalusia? You want to go, you know, to a flamenco bar. So it's really about that, you know, how do you envision your day? How do you envision your weekend or your week out with friends and family, you know, and what's surrounding you, you know? Is it people in the city, or is it more like sheep outside in the village? It's you know, all you can find there, but you have to, you know, be honest with yourself. Like, what do you like? What do you want? What do you need? And I'm sure you'll find it in Spain. But I want to give you guys some hints, some advice on locations and maybe some regions, overall regions in Spain, and what are the differences between, let's say, the north, the Basque country, places like San Sebastián, Bilbao, maybe Galicia, Asturias. They are more like more rough, I would say, a bit colder. Maybe San Sebastian, it looks a bit more like France because it's so close. Definitely another place that I would recommend eloping like in the winter time, because it's just cold. It's pretty cold. It's beautiful, but it's cold. Then you have, of course, you know, the famous Barcelona and Madrid, big cities, cosmopolitan, you know, amazing variety of places to hang out, you know, hotels, museums that you can get into, and locations where you can shoot inside the city. It's just, you know, amazing. But you're staying within the city because you won't be able to really you know, go out and navigate to different locations, because it's just the distances are quite big and it's a big city. Also, you have to think that, you know, Barcelona is quite expensive. I mean, you know, depending, you know, where you sit at, you know, but still, in comparison to other places on mainland Spain, Barcelona is quite expensive. You have to think like 120, 150 per person per night at least for a decent hotel. If you want to go more nice, more cool, it's more, it's like 200, 300, 400 per night. So you have to take that into consideration. Another city that I like a lot is Valencia and Malaga. So these are the cities most famous for like weddings and elopements, maybe Sevilla as well, and then Cordoba, Granada. So, but these are cities. So if you want to be outside of the city, I would recommend not Barcelona, not the north, but definitely think about Andalusia. So I was saying Malaga, I was saying Sevilla, Cordoba. And so all those places are in the south. It's a lot more warmer. It's also a bit more less expensive. So you can get married in the winter time, or maybe April, March even, and May and October, November, December. So like, you know, and it's also more well, not deserted, but it rains a lot less, so the landscape is different. It's more like this in earthy tones, you know, more sand, maybe more rocks, some cactuses. It looks like for photo shoots and you know, for elopements, it looks beautiful. So I think Andalusia is a very special place, and keep that on the list for your regions, for your locations. And then we have the Canary Islands, which are completely out of this world. You know, I would say they're like the Hawaii of Spain, Hawaii of Europe. There are 7 islands, completely different. Every challenge is different. Fuerteventura, there's Tenerife, Gran Canaria. You have all those islands that are just like those microcosmos, places where you drive and you 20 minutes later you're a completely different location. Let's say in Gran Canaria, you have in the south Maspalomas, amazing dunes, caves, and then you go up, and then all of a sudden you have banana plantations. So it's just very different, It's just, and this is why I think the islands are like very up there on the list, because you can spend your day with your family and friends, and you can plan to visit all those different things, being up in the mountain, volcano, in the ocean, in the city, and all within one day. Whereas if you're on the mainland, if you're in Barcelona, you can visit all those different places, but within the same, let's say, style in Barcelona, for example, but you cannot really, be in the mountain and in the ocean, in the cave, all within a few, hours away. So, I think the Canary Islands are just, overlooked in a way. I don't know why, because there's amazing, mind-blowing landscapes, and there's just so many things to do, and it's up so high up on the list. And last but not the least is the Balearic Islands. So you have Formentera, you have Menorca, but the most famous are Mallorca and Ibiza. And Ibiza is not only party, it's also amazing spiritual vibe, and drummers playing to the sunset and people dancing. It has this boho, loose, hippie kind of vibe. And you have this Las Dalias market where you can go and hang out, and it's a lot of hippies, a lot of partying, a lot of cool, crazy people out there. So if this matches your energy, Ibiza is the place. But also keep in mind, it's on the expensive side. So you have to have a little bit bigger budget than, let's say, in the Canary Islands or the mainland. Mallorca as well is beautiful. It's a little bit bigger, less partying, less spiritual, but still landscape amazing, historical sites, and Palma de Mallorca is amazing as a city as such. So it's really, there's so many places, so many locations, and it's hard to choose okay, this is my main thing, because there's just so many things. So I would recommend have an elopement in one location and then spend at least a week traveling around Spain to see all those different locations, and take us with you so we can shoot with you. But all the jokes aside, I hope you can pick a location. I hope you can pick some region. If not, feel free to write us. Feel free to ask for some recommendations. I will be happy to do so. What's probably important to you, of course, obviously, is how much does an elopement in Spain cost? So in order to answer that, you have to think of some parts of the elopement. First is are you coming alone? Or are you taking your family and friends? Are they paying for their own trip, or are you paying for them? So this is something that you kind of have to figure it out for yourself. There's no do's and don'ts, there's no rules. Some people pay for their guests, some people don't. Some people come for holidays, so there's different ways to go around that. So don't worry, if you don't want to pay for your guests, they will probably pay for their own, flights. So coming to flights, this is also very important. You have to pick a location that it's fairly easy for you to fly to. So if you're from the UK, if you're from Germany, if you're in the United States, check your flights first. See if you have any direct flights. Most likely Barcelona, Madrid will be the cities that you might get the easiest to. But don't worry about getting another flight to maybe fly to Malaga or Gran Canaria or Mallorca, as well as trains, buses. Spain is very well organized in terms of public transport, so trains will get you probably anywhere. If not, there's also buses, and if not, there's Uber. So so check your location in terms of how easily you can get there, and as well, it will tell you how much it costs, the flights, and then hotels. And then what else you need? You need a photographer or a videographer or both in one person. Me. In terms of prices, it's 1,500 euro, 2,000 euro, maybe 3. It really depends on the amount of hours, on the amounts of footage, photos, videos. So it's different depending on your needs. So feel free to ask, and I will tell you more about that as well. Then there's the logistics in terms of do you need to have a big bus or a van to drive you and your guest, or do you need an Uber, or can you just walk? You can be walking distance from your hotel to the place of elopement. That's doable as well. Another factor that you have to think of is the location of the elopement itself. Most likely you will not rent a big finca or hacienda. Most likely we will do it somewhere in the open, in the public space, or maybe in the beach, or maybe in the mountain, or maybe in a botanic park like we did with that couple in Malaga. So those places are typically open for the public, but if they're privately owned, you have to ask first for permission to walk in and shoot photography, videography, or do your little elopement. And you know what? A little nice tip is that you can do it easily and quite cheap, because an hour in a place like that will cost you probably around 120 to 150 euro, and within that hour we can have the elopement and even a little session inside. So that's it, that's the whole cost. And later you go out and we hit the bars, we hit the restaurants, we go on a tapas tour. Depending on the location, we can do so many different things and shoot on the way and have fun, enjoy, and then go to a club maybe even, or have a little bonfire or whatever. There's things that can happen, and of course they also will make the budget bigger or smaller depending if you want to go on the tapas tour, if you want to go to a club, if you want to have some singers and dancers, maybe flamenco dancers, maybe some guys with fire dances. So those things you can plan, again, coming back to your needs and your energy, your aesthetics. But I would say, by a rule of thumb, a wedding in Spain will cost you at least 30, 40, 50, 100,000 euro. An elopement might cost you as low as 3,000-5,000 euro. So that's the difference. Of course, there's no rules, so it can be the other way around. So you can have an elopement for 50 or 100,000 euro. Why not? But I'm just giving you some sort of rough idea of the difference between the one and two. And I hope that this really helped you. I hope that that information is helpful. If you need anything more from me, if you need to get a better understanding of locations, if you need more tips on wedding planners, if you need tips of where this elopement could be, or if you need tips on photography locations, if you need anything and more than this video had to offer, you can also come to our website linked under this film, where I'm giving some little more information on how to elope in Spain. And if this is not fulfilling, write me. I will do all my best to help you, assist you in planning your elopement in Spain. Thank you so much for having me in your life. Bye. Hasta luego.